Hey, my name's Christina Freewald, and this is Leah Lehman.
And we're from Lake Region High School. And today we'll be making apple crepes a la mode. This scrumptious dessert will have you begging for more. So remember to have a pen and paper ready so you can take notes. First, we're going to start off with the crepes. You add 3/4 cup of milk, and then 1 cup of all-purpose flour and pre-sifted. And if you don't have a sifter at home, you can whisk it. And you add 1 egg. Make sure it's a good egg, and when you crack it, don't get any shell in your mixture.
It's a good egg.
All right. And also you're going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. But since this is a dessert crepe, that's why you add the sugar. Otherwise, if you're making like a meat
or regular crepe,
you're just going to add salt. And then finally, you're going to add 1½ teaspoon of cooking oil. And once you have all those ingredients added, you're going to take your hand mixer and mix it all together. And when you're mixing, remember to scrape the sides of your bowls so you have everything in and mixed well. I'm going to be mixing all the ingredients together on a low setting of 1 to get sure everything's together. And Christina over here is going to finish up with the apple filling.
Right now I'm melting butter in the fondue pot. You should use a large skillet, but if you don't have one, a fondue pot will do. Now I have to saute the apples. Use 1½ cup chopped apples. Just pour it in there. And then you pour your brown sugar in, which is half of 1/3 cup. Pour it in there. You pour your almonds in, which is 1/4 cup of almonds, and your raisins in, which is half of 1/3 cup. And you mix it all up until your apples and nuts and raisins are tender. It should cook for about 5 minutes. And Leah, how is your
everything mixed together pretty awesome.
And it's tender. So after it's tender, you put in the brown sugar.
And when you're measuring your brown sugar, make sure you pack it in because it's not like your regular white granulated sugar.
And you stir it up for another 2 minutes.
Man, I wish you guys were here to smell this. It just smells delicious.
It does.
Kind of like a candle.
And it's almost done. Maybe another couple.
Did you
start frequently?
Did you mention how if they don't want nuts or raisins, they
oh
don't
no,
have to put
you
that
can.
in?
Yeah, you can omit the raisins or nuts if you don't want it. But
they add a good nutritious value.
Yes, they do.
And you don't have to use almonds. You can also use walnuts, and that's probably your only other option. So, all right. So I'm also, once you have the crepes, you're going to have a plate with a paper towel to set it in because what you're going to do is you're going to put the batter onto a greased lightly with margarine to keep that healthy. Now that the gas stove is on, we are going to melt this butter to get it greased for the crepe mixture. And once we have that greased, we add 2 tablespoons of the crepe mixture into it. And we're going to let it brown on one side.
Only.
All right.
Leah's just going to pour it in there. And once you get it in there, move the pan kind of so it'll make it round and all even.
And then you're going to let it brown on one side. And then turn the heat up a little bit. You're going to have it on a medium heat, not so much high and not so much low. And then once you've got it brown, you're going to flip it off. Still letting it brown. This may take a few minutes. All right, once that's brown, flip it off. All right, now you add the
apple filling, apple raisin and nut filling
to the middle of it.
Just add a little bit on there.
And then you're going to fold it up like a burrito. And then if you want, you can place it back on the stove to seal everything in. Or you can just leave it like this, and you're going to put it on a plate.
And get some ice cream for it.
As a nice garnish. And then you can add powdered sugar or chocolate syrup as your garnish. If not, you can leave it as it is.
And put some ice cream on the side. You can put it on top if you want, but...
And now you have apple crepes a la mode.
I'm Shayla Riley.
And I'm Tyree Williams.
And we're here at Fort Meade High School. Today we'll be making cheesecake brownies. Ingredients for the cheesecake brownies. For our brownies, we'll use melted chocolate, which consists of 8 squares of unsweetened chocolate and 2 sticks of butter. We'll use 3.5 cups of sugar, 5 large eggs, a tablespoon of vanilla extract, 1 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a cup of semi-chocolate chips. And for our cheesecake layer, we'll use 4 ounces of cream cheese, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 egg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. In a large bowl, we'll combine our sugar, our 5 eggs, and our vanilla. Using an electric mixer, we will set on medium and beat until smooth. This should take about 2 minutes. Okay. And once that's through, we're going to add in our melted chocolate into the mix. And we'll let that mix for a minute. we're gonna unhook everything, and we're gonna add flour and salt into the mixture, and we're gonna stir it for about 2 minutes with a wooden spoon. We're gonna add our flour. And our salt. Now we're going to start mixing.
Okay, now I'm gonna make the cheesecake layer. First you add the cream cheese to a bowl. Then you add 1 egg. And last you add your sugar.
Before he gets to mixing, you take your chocolate chips and you fold it into your batter.
Okay, now just gonna beat it a little till it gets creamy. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, now we're going to use our greased 13 by 9 inch pan, and we're going to pour our brownie batter into the pan. With a large spoon, we're going to drop the cream cheese mixture onto the brownie layer. Now Tyree's going to take a knife and he's going to lightly swirl the brownie and cheesecake mixture for a marble design. And once he's through, we'll place the brownies in the oven to bake for 45 to 50 minutes. We have our finished product of our cheesecake brownies. These are great for any occasions. And I hope you had fun cooking with us here at Fort Meade. Thanks. Bye.
Jamie Kolock.
And I'm Rebecca Menti, and we're from Lake Regions High School's Culinary Arts program.
And today we're going to be making chocolate lush. All right, to start off today, we're going to start with our crust layer. We have 1 stick of butter, margarine you can use, a cup of flour, sifted, 1/4 cup walnuts today. In the recipe, our original recipe, it's pecans, but you can substitute your nuts for any nuts that you would like. And today we are going to take our bowl, add our nuts, finely grated. What you can do is it's cheaper to just buy whole nuts instead of buying finely grated nuts already because it's cheaper. And you can just take a grater and grate them up as much as you want.
Now we're going to add the butter, and you want to cut in the butter into it. That way, you don't want the chunks to be too big. That way, it's not going to melt properly. It's going to be chunky, and it's not going to be even throughout the whole mixture. Now, like she's doing, it's going to get stuck to the blender. So you're going to have to use a spatula to scrape it off to make sure it's all blended throughout evenly. It's better to use actually room temperature butter. This obviously isn't. It's a little cold. That's why it's a little harder to chop up.
And the size that you want your butter pieces to be are basically pea sizes, because if it's too big, like she said, it's going to make it clumpy. And the pea size gives it where to be that crisp taste when you bite into it. I love chocolate lush. I actually made it at a picnic one time.
Really?
It was a crowd favorite. Everyone loved it. Everyone wanted the recipe.
Just like here at our Stable Cafe, all the teachers ask for it all the time.
This part's kind of messy, so what you're going to want to do is just keep going.
Clean it up as you go. That's fine.
All right.
Now that the butter is all chopped into the flour, you can get a piece of parchment paper, wax paper, or plastic wrap. It doesn't matter. You can just use this to push it in. That way you have an evener crust. Now she's going to dump this into the pan. We have an 8x8, but it's originally a 9x13 pan you can use. So we're going to have a little bit extra than you would have. Now she's going to take the parchment paper and she's going to flatten it down as tight as she can. So there's no air bubbles that it's going to pop up the crust and make it bubbly.
And when pushing in the crust, you're just going to want to make it as tight as possible, like Rebecca said. And what you're going to want to do is make sure it doesn't exactly crawl up on the sides of your pan. You're going to keep looking to make sure your butter isn't sticking to your parchment paper or any kind of paper that you use. And you're just going to want to flatten it out really nicely. And our oven was preheated to 375 for about 20 minutes now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to put it in the oven to bake for about 12 minutes or until it's nice golden brown. And then we're going to take it out and we're going to chill it in the refrigerator till it's completely chilled. Now I'm just going to take the butter pieces off, just lay them back in there, it's fine. All right. It's a messy job. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put it in the oven.
Our next layer, we're going to make a cream cheese layer. It's going to be the powdered sugar, whipped cream, and a package of cream cheese. Mix it in.
The package of cream cheese is going to be an 8-ounce package. And what you're going to do is you're just going to basically mix all your ingredients together. Your powdered sugar, you want to add it all in and mix it to a nice consistency. If you want to try to prevent messes, you can add your powdered sugar slowly at a time, but often we just add all ingredients to mix it together. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cream it nice and smooth because this is your middle layer, so when you bite into it, you don't want chunks of anything.
Now we're going to be using an electric mixer, but you can do this by hand if you want to. It's just a lot easier and quicker with an electric mixer.
You always want to do it on a medium speed so that you don't go too slow to prevent anything from clogging up, and too fast so that you don't have ingredients flying out of your bowl.
Okay, and see how it's nice and creamy? It's a creamy texture like this. You don't see any lumps. And now it's time to make the second layer, which is the pudding layer. And Jamie here is going to do that for us.
All right. First, you always want to make sure your station's clean. So we just want to clean up a little bit. All right. You can use chocolate pudding. We usually use a 5.9 ounce package of pudding. Any chocolate pudding that you want, instant preferably. It's easier to work with in this case. And we have 2.5 cups of milk that we're adding it to. We don't go by the package on the chocolate pudding mix because in this case the chocolate Lush pudding needs to be a thicker consistency. So what we're going to do is just going to whisk it up nice and good.
And you want to make sure that the milk is cold because then it'll make it easier for it to thicken up. You won't have to refrigerate it as you would if it wasn't like if it was room temperature milk. And it's a good idea to use a whisk whip for this because it takes all the clumps out and it gets it mixed all evenly and well consistent through. If you use the regular spoon, you'd see the lumps in it. It would have lumps, and when you pop the lumps, it would still be the powder.
We're almost to the consistency that you want the pudding to be. You want it to be almost a little bit thicker so that when we add it onto our layer, it's not going to sink into our whipped cream layer. All right, and chocolate pudding is nice and creamy the way we like it to be. And now our crust, which has finished, and we have put it in the refrigerator and chilled, we're just going to take it out and we're going to start adding our layers onto what they need to be.
Here's the crust.
All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to add our whipped cream layer to it. You always want to use a spatula like this, not your wooden spatulas or your wire spatulas. These are nicer to use when you're making baked goods. And what you're going to want to do is just want to spread it evenly all over your crust that we've cooled.
You want to take about half of your mixture out and spread it down because we're going to have 2 layers of this.
What you do is when you're spreading your stuff, you always want to bring it a swift pull of your stuff so that you don't pull your crust up. This is a very delicious cream mixture. It's got the nice tasty cream cheese in it with a mixture of whipped cream, so it's going to be so sweet and good.
Okay, we're ready for our next layer.
All right, now it's our pudding layer. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to, you can use the same spatula you want. It's not going to mess it up too much. You're just going to sit there and pour your pudding on top. You want to make it nice and even.
And like we did with the cream mixture, you only want to use about half of it. That way you still have leftovers for your next layer. Now she's going to spread it evenly throughout. She's going to make sure she doesn't spread it into the cream mixture or else it's going to have like, you'll see the mixture throughout. You don't want to see that. You want to see perfect layers. As she's doing, she's being very gentle, swooping it on to the cream mixture. And if the white mixture does come up, you can just put more chocolate over it and you won't be able to tell.
With the chocolate, you usually use it to your preference on it. If you like chocolate stuff, add more. All right, and now we're going to add our next layer. All right, and you're just going to want to add your whipped cream topping. You want to make sure the chocolate on your spatula is mainly off so you don't get chocolate in your top layer. Just wipe it on the edge of your chocolate bowl. It's fine. And then you want to put big heaping spoons of your whipped cream. Finish your whole canister off because we did use 2 cups of the whipped cream previously for our whipped cream mixture. So I just want to finish it off. Now you're just going to swift it around. And then while you're doing this, after you finish this, you can add the nut that you put in your crust just for a pretty garnish, or you can just leave it plain. I usually like to leave it plain. I don't really like the nut texture in it. And then what you're gonna wanna do is you wanna chill it for about an hour until it's completely chilled, and you'll be finished with your chocolate lush and ready to serve.